Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 28th and tonight's movie is Eraserhead. Oh boy, I've already said that I'm not the biggest fan of art house films, and Eraserhead is pretty art house. This is arguably David Lynch's most famous work. I've seen one other David Lynch movie, Mulholland Drive, which I thought was I found it to be way too long and kinda cryptic. Eraserhead is normal length and extremely cryptic though, so I guess it balances out. I've heard this movie be described as feeling like a nightmare. And unlike Mulholland Drive, I don't even think this movie starts out normal. The plot is apparently some guy is taking care of his deformed baby all alone in his apartment in some weird industrial landscape. And I saw some pretty kooky images in the trailer. I'm going to try my best to go into this with an open mind. Mulholland Drive had some really good moments in it, and I expect this movie to at least have a few as well. I'm gonna go give it a watch. Eraserhead was somehow both better and worse than I was expecting. I'm gonna give this movie a 4 out of 10, and I'm not gonna be splitting up this review because there really isn't anything to spoil in this movie. I was not expecting the horror in this movie to be very effective, but I will give it is incredibly creepy and disturbing. Some of the scenes in Eraserhead really do feel like they're right out of an acid trip or a nightmare. One thing that I want to make clear before we get further in is the difference between something being creepy and something being scary. Something being scary implies some sort of danger. If not directly, at least secondhand. Like, watching a psycho killer chase someone around with a knife, that's scary. Creepy isn't really dangerous, but it does create a sort of feel of discomfort and unease. Watching some woman with a prosthetic moon face smiling and looking directly into the camera while singing a song about how everything is fine in heaven, that's more creepy. This movie has got creepy down to a science. So you might be wondering, if I do have such good things to say about this movie, why I'm giving it a negative review. Well, the second half is certainly very creepy and disturbing. The first half was boring as hell. I understand that this is a movie all about atmosphere and setting up, imagery and, playing with the sound design, but they will take something and they will hold on it, and hold, and hold, and hold, until all the creepiness it could have created is faded away and replaced with boredom. This is a very imagery-heavy movie, but I think the fact that it takes 10 full minutes before a single line of dialogue is even spoken, I think is a little bit excessive. As for the symbolism, I'm usually not very good at it, but I'm getting a big sense of being terrified of responsibility. And possibly losing your own identity, getting bogged down in those responsibilities. However, that point is very undermined because at no point did I feel like the main character, Henry, actually wanted to take care of his weird alien demon child. If he was actually putting in, real effort and trying to love this thing, and it was still just causing nothing but misery, that might be a little bit more, poetic or symbolic. But it's really just him just watching it slowly die. Eraserhead, I would not call it a coherent story. And I'm not saying that because I can't tell you what happened. I can't tell you why any of it happened. And in a way, that does contribute to the, nightmarish atmosphere of the whole thing. Nightmares don't make sense. There is no logic. But there's also a reason why you forget about your dreams almost immediately when you wake up. Because there's no context or seeming reason for anything, there's not really anything to latch onto and remember, except for the really hellish parts. So I guess, in a way, David Lynch absolutely succeeded in making a movie that feels like a nightmare. But, as I've now discovered, I don't want to watch a nightmare, I want to watch a horror movie. Just like Mulholland Drive, there were some parts of it that were brilliant, but also, like Mulholland Drive, I don't think it's worth watching the entire thing for it. There are a couple scenes that are incredibly memorable, but it's just a couple scenes, not the whole movie. Alright, thank you for listening, I'll see you tomorrow.